Avoid fashion shows or runway show creatives. Fashion shows have their time and place, but for most fashion brands and for scaling ads, it's totally unnecessary. Why? Well, one, it's expensive in terms of time, money, and energy, which means it's not something brands can efficiently make and test all the time. Two, it doesn't convert new audiences because it's unrelatable. It looks fancy, but it doesn't convert profitably. Next, avoid commercial-like creatives. Just like fashion shows, they are expensive in terms of money, time, and energy, so brands can't make this efficiently at scale. And they're also unrelatable to new audiences, so conversions will be lower or at a loss. Next, avoid text overlay on still images. Now, nothing against Shoreditch Ski Club, just using them as an example. We've tested this extensively, and it never resulted in profitable scale. It makes overall performance worse. Branding creatives versus raw creatives. There are mainly two types of fashion creatives: branding creatives and raw creatives. The three types of creatives to avoid are branding creatives. The purpose of branding creatives is to showcase the brand and drive impressions and engagement, whereas the purpose of raw creatives, covered later, is to drive sales. This doesn't mean raw creatives aren't on brand. They are still on brand, but they're specifically designed to trigger new audiences to buy. We focus specifically on raw creatives because that's the whole point of ads, to get new customers. We'll cover raw creatives more after I go over one more type of creative to avoid, which is curated UGC. We avoid curated UGC creatives and advise founders not to invest in it because it's a dying gimmick in fashion. When gimmick starts trending, everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon because they think it's the next big thing. But like all gimmicks, it works for a little while and then the ROI diminishes quickly because the market recognizes the gimmick due to the bandwagon. From the market's perspective, they see the same creators, styles, and salesy scripts as everyone else. So the brand loses its uniqueness because the creative is inauthentic. And using some common sense, if brands try to differentiate themselves with curated UGC like everyone else, then no brand's different. Meanwhile, curated UGC creators and UGC agencies are happy to keep jacking up the price because they aren't directly responsible for generating sales with it. From our experience, if the curated UGC converts, it lasts for 2 to 3 weeks at most. So it's not worth paying for something that lasts for 2 to 3 weeks if it works. Now, what about organic UGC? Well, we've tested this and it does convert better and a bit longer than curated UGC because it's unique to the brand, it's authentic. Organic UGC can be things like customers making real reviews and testimonials. It's a nice thing to have, but that's not what gets the highest return at scale. This kind of creative does. Raw creatives. Raw creatives have minimum to no editing, clearly shows the product, are simple and direct. They aren't overly edited or retouched, commercial-like, fancy, or expensive. Raw creatives convert the most amount of new customers at the highest ROAS and scales the longest, and by longest, I mean a couple months to over a year with the same raw creatives. Why? One, because they feel organic and they are relatable to the audience. In other words, it's authentic. Two, fashion is black or white. The market either wants it or they don't. No fancy edits, which is brandy creatives, or over-the-top performances, created UGC, will somehow persuade the market to buy something they don't want. Now, products we show in raw creatives. 9 times out of 10, we are using raw creatives to show the brand's best-selling products. That's also what we advise them to do for any new creatives. The reason for that is simple. These products have demand in the market, which is what makes them bestsellers in the first place. So since they already have demand, they have the highest odds of converting new customers compared to all the other products. The only other time we don't show bestsellers is when the brand launches a new collection. There are two main types of raw creatives we advise clients to make: still image or video. And there are different types of still images and videos, which I will cover next. Now, is one better than the other? The anticlimactic answer is none is better than the other, which goes back to why we always test